Do you want to hyperspace into the Obi Wan
Let's
trailer?
hyperspace back to Tatooine. Hello there. See if we time that right. But yeah, dude, we hit ludicrous speed. We almost turned to plaid. We need a plaid mask.
We've gone to plaid.
We are ready for some Obi Wan Kenobi. I feel like all the Beta Fett, Boba Fett stuff is all gone. In an instant, Obi-Wan came in and just wiped it all away. And the internet is super psyched about this. First impressions, what did you think of the trailer?
I thought it was out of all the Star Wars shows that have come out thus far, this looked the most like the films.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like one of the films. I guess that's because Ewan McGregor is from the films. It's the first time they're translating an actual a top character like that.
Top character, yeah. Because I don't think you can count. You can't count Boba Fett because as much as you loved him and as cool as he was still technically somewhat of a background character. Jango Fett had more screen time than Boba Fett. You can't count Luke because that was deep fake Luke. This is Ewan McGregor. And this is a different generation, right? The prequels are beloved. There's a lot of people that, for some people, the OT, the PT is their OT. And then the OT is just like, that was cool. But the prequel trilogies is what made them Star Wars fans.
Well, the PT is getting a lot of love ever since
it really is.
The ST just ruined everything.
The ST. Yes, should have put yeah, they need well, we'll see. Do you think the STs are going to stand the test of times like the PTs?
I think the STs maybe will be revisited later after we've had a bunch of successful TV shows and maybe another, T somewhere in there.
Yeah. I think the woke version might age the best.
Look, here's the thing.
What was the woke
Force
one in the
Awakens
middle?
is still the biggest movie of all time, right?
Yeah, it is.
So that's never going to go away. So eventually they'll reconnect. They'll be like, we got to use this thing. I know everybody got mad at it, but part 1 was good, so let's do something.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But people are super psyched about it. I thought it was great. They really did basically cater to the prequel trilogy audience because when they put on Duel of the Fates, did you get goosebumps? Did you get the goosebumps?
Yeah, that was good. That's good.
Wait, I got to read Renato's comment. Obi-Wan is the sequel to the prequels, but the prequel to the originals, who are the prequels to the sequels. But Mando and Boba Fett are the sequels to the originals, but the prequels to the sequels. Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel. That was too good not to read verbatim. Well done, Renato.
Nice Ace Ventura deep cut.
Yeah, that was very.
What's up, Lee?
What's up, Lee? But yeah, I was really happy with it. I thought it looked great. The big news that also came from this is obviously, besides there are Inquisitors in it, Inquisitors from Rebels, but also.
So what are the Inquisitors? I don't know these characters
So the Inquisitors are basically dark side Force users that were trained by Darth Vader to basically become Force-trained attack dogs. So they're above troopers, but they can use the Force. They're trained with lightsabers, and their sole purpose is to use the Force to hunt and kill Jedi.
Jedi hunters.
Jedi hunters.
Jedi hunters with Jedi powers.
Yeah, so you know how Cad Bane made a big splash in Boba Fett. I think this was in Rebels. They actually had him in there, or maybe it was the Bad Batch. There was a heist that he got a holocron that actually had the name of all these Force-sensitive kids that he was bringing back to the Empire, which they talk about that eventually is going to lead into Palps using it to get that clone work going. So he was going to actually, and that's where Grogu came in. But anyway, they use these Inquisitors to hunt, and I think it's going to lead into, they have this one new Inquisitor that's a little bit trying to impress her new boss, which is Darth Vader, and said, I think your number one enemy is still alive, Obi Wan Kenobi.
They should have shown Vader in it, though.
So you really just got his breathing at the end, and it was only one breath. But there's part of me that I'm kind of glad they didn't. Like, I know people are still a little upset about Boba Fett. It is what it is. I mean, we got him back. We'll see how it goes. All I know is in Filoni, I trust, and I don't think Filoni had anything to do with that. So
just stop bringing it up already.
yes,
We've moved on.
It's in the clear, and I think this kind of washed it away. They have to protect this character. This is probably their most important piece of Star Wars content they've ever made. More important,
It looks huge.
Because if the sequel trilogy was successful, this would have been icing on the cake. Now this is the most important piece that they've done, because Mandalorian is already a win, right? They got that win. They got Grogu. Basically, Star Wars is going to be fine if it was just Grogu and Din Djarin the rest of the time. But they're going in deep into that toy box, and they're whipping out that Obi Wan Kenobi figure, and they're playing with some canonical stuff and a very rabid fan base. They have to do it right.
So Lee says in the video games they use the Jedi they broke through torture as Inquisitors.
Yes.
So they turn Jedis on themselves?
Yes. Well, there's one, I think it's the Grand Inquisitor, right? That he was this was in Clone Wars, I believe, that he was a former Jedi that was disenchanted. So instead of going to the dark side and becoming a Sith, he went to the dark side, but became a dark side user and just a Jedi hunter. So, and I think there's some canon stuff that you go into the books, because they have those Jedi guards that have the yellow lightsabers that are somewhat Force users, but they're not Jedi per se, that I think would be along those lines.
That's interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen... They haven't really done that in the films at all, where folks
No.
can just have some Jedi ability, you know?
No, they really hadn't. I mean, they started hinting to that's what they were going to do, right? With Rey, with like the gray Jedi, that she wasn't going to be like a full-on Jedi. And then technically, Anakin was not allowed to be a Jedi, and that's what got him down this road where Qui-Gon was still going to train him, but he wasn't going to be allowed to be a Jedi. And remember, it wasn't until the very end, Yoda begrudgingly said, fine, you can train him to be a Jedi. But he was going to just train him to be a Force user, but not be a Jedi.
I see.
So there's one of their shows coming out is called The Acolyte, which I think is going to start to jump into this. This is I think this is a new property. It's going to be, so it's a little bit more mysterious of what it is. This has their potential to be Mandalorian level, which goes so you, because you never watched. I mean, I watched Clone Wars, I watched Rebels, I read a few of the books, I read the Darth Vader comic books, but I mean, I'm not like deep into it. But you're just films only, and then whatever streaming on Disney, right?
All I know is the films, Disney, and the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes, which is canon, which is. Yeah, it used to be a lot harder to see that now. Like, I think I have a burnt DVD of it.
Yeah, I remember they used to sell VHS of it at comic book shows, and now it's on YouTube, though. You can watch the full thing.
Yeah,
HD.
you can get it. And they actually even played with it, right? Because they did a Star Wars Lego holiday special that they kind of played with it a little bit. I think they should revisit it and just let somebody just have fun with it. Just go deep with it. Just get meta with it. I think they should revisit it. I mean, R.I.P. They're not going to be able to get B. Arthur. I mean, but she's a national treasure, and she's in there.
Yeah, just go full variety show again with it.
Right.
Just have the Star Wars characters interact with B celebrities.
Yeah.
And do skits.
I mean, one of our favorite episodes of The Muppet Show growing up was when Luke Skywalker kind of came in there, because that Muppet Show was hosted by Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill. So I think they can go with that. Renato said, yeah, excited about the Cassian Andor series, Space Spycraft. So there's some cool news actually about Andor. So the rumor is, so basically they're looking at Obi-Wan. He's going to be, they're trying to use him as the connective tissue, possibly in the vein of Iron Man. And there's rumors that Andor could make an appearance in the Obi-Wan series. And they're talking about Ahsoka and Obi-Wan making an appearance in the Andor series.
Not in the Obi-Wan series?
Yeah, no, they're going to have crossover there.
Ahsoka in the Obi Wan series.
And the Andor series.
That would like cause a vacuum in space or something. I feel like if they had Rosario Dawson's character appear with Ewan McGregor in that series.
Oh man. Yeah, again, they have history together, so it is possible. Because here's the thing, right? All right, we're just getting to speculate. I didn't read any of the leaks or rumors, so I'm just speculating here. But if we looked at the trailer, clearly they had some off-world, off-Tatooine stuff, right? There was some. He's definitely left Tatooine. Who did he leave to babysit young Luke when he left?
It was Uncle Owen, right?
But you need a Force user technically to watch over him, right? Uncle Owen ain't shit against anybody. I mean, he got vaporized.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Somebody with Jedi ability would.
Is Ahsoka going to babysit young Luke? Are we going to get "Don't Tell Mom the babysitter's dead" and get some Ahsoka as a babysitter?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's totally doable.
Yeah.
I don't know the timeline, though. I don't know what the years in between the stuff is.
So remember, so in the end of Clone Wars, she left the Jedi Order because she got framed and they didn't believe her. So then she's like, screw it. And that's why she has the white saber. So she still has lightsabers, but she obviously was still around. And this is spoilers, I guess. Do you want to throw a spoiler thing up if you want to talk about Rebels? If you're going to... So if you watch Rebels, so then that is when Ahsoka does come back as Fulcrum, where she's a spy, and that's when we see all grown up Ahsoka in there. But Renato's right that it said she's going to be younger, since it's 30 years into the series, so she's going to be younger. And there's been a big push that they wanted Ashley, I forgot her last name, who actually voiced Ahsoka in the cartoons, to play Ahsoka. So they might have to do like a younger version of it. But look, Ahsoka was a badass like right out of the gate, Like when she was young, she was already kicking ass. So she, at this time, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, she is old enough that she would be able to babysit Luke for a little while.
I think that would destroy the internet.
All right, this is an intergalactic gossip column. Yeah. I don't know. I think
that's
it would
what
be
Star
cool.
Wars fandom is. It's pretty much just a gossip column.
It is a gossip column. But I like the idea of using Obi-Wan to kind of connect some of these shows, but I think they have to use that sparingly, and it makes more sense to have Andor kind of be that connect. But he's going to be the connection because obviously we know how his story ends in Rogue One. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they've already talked about. They have multiple seasons of Andor plucked out, and get this. They have the rumor that George Lucas is going to come out of Star Wars retirement and direct some of the Andor episodes.
One more match.
Yeah, one more match. And I don't know if it's just he came by for a cup of coffee, but the rumor is he had a big say in all the Obi-Wan stuff. And they got John Williams, who said, I'm not doing Star Wars anymore. He's coming back to do the Obi-Wan score. He's going to be doing their opening theme. So they're not going, which I love. Let me pull up his name. Vamp for a little bit. I got to pull up his name.
What are you looking up?
I'm looking up the guy who actually does all the new theme music. His name is Ludwig Göransson. So he does the theme for the Book of Boba Fett. He does the theme for Mandalorian. I think he does a great job as that. And he created his own vibe. But John Williams is that original Star Wars vibe, so they're bringing John Williams back for that. So you're going to get a little bit of John Williams. You're going to get a little bit of George Lucas. You're going to get a little bit closer to what was actually canon.
Yeah, I think if you put it out there in an ad that George Lucas is directing an episode of Obi Wan Kenobi,
yeah, I think people are in.
Everyone's going to sign up for Disney Plus immediately.
Yeah, Renato said, just like, look at this chest of money. I know you said you're retired for John Williams, but look at this chest full of money. I wonder if they have like a Pirates of the Caribbean, like actually looking chest, and they actually just fill it with like gold and jewels and like stock options.
Right.
But I watched a ton of breakdowns on the Obi-Wan trailer, and I got very sad in a good way, not only for the Duel of the Fates, but I got a little choked up seeing young Luke Skywalker sitting there playing, because it reminded me of, Annie, little Annie, you're all grown up. What do you know? A Jedi. And then I was like, wow, because Jake Lloyd, as we know, he actually had personal problems. Him and Jar Jar Binks were basically harassed to the point where they talked about suicide, like the characters who played them. And now you have a whole generation that basically worship these films.
And the guy who played Jar Jar wasn't even in the movie.
No, he was just
It was just his voice, and they hated him because of his voice.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think it sucks because then I was like, now this, and I don't think it would ever happen anymore. But Jake Lloyd, I mean, he went to prison. I mean, they had like some
Is he
serious.
in prison?
He went to prison, yeah.
For what?
I don't even remember what he went to prison for.
I'm gonna look it up.
But he had a lot of problems, and it stems from the harassment that he got for the prequels. So seeing that, it's just like, that's not going to happen to young Luke, right? So, but yeah, look it up to see. Honestly, Ludwig is his new favorite composer. Probably
Update:
not.
He was moved to a psychiatric facility in 2016.
Oh man, see that sucks, man. I mean, I don't know. That was totally unnecessary. Like he was a little kid, It's just like, but again, I mean, not that Hollywood has a great history of treating kids well. I mean, you can see the two Coreys. Basically, we know that they don't treat kids well, but this was fandom that drove them to this, and it sucks. And now here's the hot take: Would Jar Jar Binks get a pop if he showed up on one of these shows?
Yeah, if he showed up with Jedi ability.
Would he get
He
a pop?
confirms like the internet stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if he went dark side. Yeah, no, Darth Bane, Darth Revan, those were actually all be good stories. And this is
So this is kind of hilarious. But no, it's not. It's a very sad story. But Jake Lloyd apparently went to jail after leading South Carolina police on a high-speed chase.
really?
Right?
No, this is pod racing?
Exactly.
Oh man, that's
So why have they not made the Jake Lloyd story as a movie? What an ending that would be.
Yeah, that would suck. I feel like I don't know if there's you're a real human being behind it. Hayden Christensen got a shit ton of heat for his role too, and now he's basically he's up there with Tobey Maguire coming back to Spider-Man. Like he's being like, holy shit, they're getting Hayden Christensen back. I wish there was a way that we can find Jake Lloyd and give him some peace to know that, hey, you might have had a generation that, were assholes to you, but you have this new generation that love little Annie.
They're gonna like him eventually. When he gets out of jail, he's gonna be greeted with a ticker tape parade.
Yeah, I hope so, man, because it's just like, for every, again.
Imagine you're in court though, and they introduce you, and it's like they're describing your crimes, and it's like Jake Lloyd from The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and he was in Turbo Man. Exactly. Mike Holiday, he was in Turbo Man too. I mean, he's Hollywood royalty. He should be treated as such.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe they'll turn it around.
Well, here's the thing. This, again, and to circle back to what I was saying, how this is the most important piece of Star Wars content that Disney ever created, because this isn't new. They're touching something that is considered holy grail, and they can't break this. If they wanted to play it safer, they can go with something new with an old flair, hence the Mandalorian, Grogu being, the same species as Yoda, but they weren't messing with something that's already well established. Like the Acolyte, I'm really psyched for, because now they can get into dark side stuff and not mess with that, because they have a history of messing up established characters. I mean, they had Luke, Han, and Leia. They had Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill on the same exact set for this trilogy, and we never got a shot of that triad of our youth together at the same time.
Why wouldn't you just film a shit ton of B-roll when they were there? Just film something with them all in the same shot.
One time, and
just to bank it, just because they're there.
Oh man, I don't know. I think they screwed up. So there's a risk when you start messing with this. They have a history of not knowing what to do with it. And here's the hot take. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right here on the internet, and I can't take it back. Finn, Poe, and Rey are good characters that had bad stories. And Rey got it worse because not only did she have a bad story, she had a bad story with the supposed hidden agenda that actually affected legacy characters, and I think that's why she gets the most heat.
I think the sequel trilogies would have been fine if they would have just stuck to their original gimmick, which was let's just remake the movies exactly the same. Because the first one was exactly the first. They should have just continued that.
Shot for shot.
Whether people
Release the
complained or
fin
not.
cut.
Yeah, just continue with the plan and figure it out after. But they tried to swerve everything while things were in motion, and they just made a bunch of crap. Here's the thing, though, about the new Obi Wan's, because you were talking about breaking an established character or whatever. The thing is, they got George Lucas involved to give it the rub, so they can just do whatever. And since his involvement gives them cover.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, George Lucas. Remember, a big reason he sold Star Wars off is just like he knew he was just getting so much heat. You know, because he's just like, these guys are going to turn on you. I mean,
Did
had
you see
people.
there was that movie, The People versus George Lucas?
Yes.
Some nerds made a documentary about being mad at George Lucas for making the prequels.
Yeah, exactly. He got a lot of heat too. And it's just like he made it seem like it was risky business. Renato blames Jar Jar Abrams. They should have just given the entire trilogy to Rian Johnson. Why didn't they give whoever, probably more so Rian Johnson, because we know J.J. Abrams has a history of not knowing how to finish. He's not a finisher. He can establish something, but he can't finish it. Why didn't they just give the entire trilogy to one? This isn't hot tag filmmaking.
Which is weird because even in the most common sense type of situation, say you're doing B2B marketing, you don't want 3 different directors to do your stuff. It's all going to look different, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just book one guy for the whole thing and just stick with him?
Yeah. It absolutely his poor wife. He's not a finisher, man. No, but you're right. It's just like, why didn't you just? I would have. Look, I don't. Full disclosure, I don't read any of the stuff that's like who's woke, who's not woke. I don't get into that stuff with Kathleen Kennedy. As a fan of the films, I saw what some of the people were talking about, and even the little things. And I told you this before. I'm a fan of Laura Dern, and she had to have seen Star Wars before. And she was about to do something. She said Godspeed instead of May the Force be with you. Come on, man. Know your audience. This isn't about there's Godspeed. This is May the Force be with you, and then do what you have to do. So maybe there was some weird agenda there. I don't know. But
don't only Force people say that though? You don't say that if you're not a Force user, do you?
Well, you can. I mean, it's just like a salutations.
Like if I said that to a Jedi, would he just like?
Yeah, and he'd say
roll his eyes.
Yeah, no, he would say, and also with you.
You can't control the Force at me. You have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, it's just like it is their way of saying, God bless you. It's their way of saying go in peace, whatever you want to call. But there's in that universe there is no Godspeed. It's May the Force be with you. So that one really stuck with me. But be that as it may, do you agree with me? Do you think Poe, Finn, and Rey, because they could show up in a future series, are they bad characters that just got? Are they good characters that got a bad deal, or do you think they're bad characters?
No, they're fine. They're fine characters, and it's good actors in those roles. Here's my pitch. If who controls Star Wars? Kathleen Kennedy?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Here's my pitch. Just sequel boot the first one and pretend the second 2 don't exist. Problem solved. Just cut to 30 years later and somebody wants revenge and the movie starts from there.
Wait, but then you'd have to admit that you're wrong, right? And that's not going to happen. Do studios admit they're wrong? I don't think so, right?
No, that's what sequel boots are. You just ignore the ones nobody liked.
Yeah, it was poor writing. There was a lot of stuff, but I mean, think about this. If I was just to pitch you a Star Wars movie, okay, I'm going to just take one character. There's this stormtrooper who was kidnapped as a child, forced to be a stormtrooper that is force sensitive. Period. That's the log line. Are you interested?
Sounds good. Sounds like it could be.
Yeah. Oh, what did I lose you in the cups? Did I lose you?
Don't know.
Oh, I can hear you though. But that sounds good, right? That's Finn. Like, how did you screw that up? And by the end, they never even addressed it. I mean, The Force Awakens was supposed to be him awakening, and I think we've veered off of the Obi Wan trailer, but I guess we'll circle back to it. But because this again, I guess we're making the pitch of why this piece of content is so important, because they've already established that they can mess up legacy characters, and they're kind of 50-50 with establishing their new characters because they did not do a good justice by Finn, Rey, Poe, and you can even say Kylo Ren. I got no heat with him. Pull up your jeans. I don't care. Pull them all the way up. Whatever. I have no heat with Kylo Ren. I think his story could be a little bit more fascinating. But you can say their new characters they established are not that good at. They sold a lot of toys with BB-8, and the Mandalorian and Grogu, they hit it out of the park. But here's the difference. You know who had nothing to do with the sequel trilogy and everything to do with the Mandalorian?
Who's that?
Dave Filoni. He's basically the Padawan learner to George Lucas, so he has the rule book. We talk about this all the time when we're writing scripts or we're coming up with a story. You got to have a rule book, and then you got to stick to the rule book, or else the people are going to be like, you're not even playing by your rules anymore. WWE does this all the time. They don't even stick to their own rule book. They don't have time limits. Just like there's no DQ. AEW does it too. Just like the referee. The other day I saw the referee. It's just like he was watching somebody whip somebody, and then they pull their hair like, hey, watch the hair, but continue to whip them with the chain. Right? It's just like, what are you doing here? You got to stick to the rules. Dave Filoni sticks to the rules. That's why the Clone Wars work so well. That's why Rebels work so well. That's why the episodes that Dave Filoni did do for the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian work so well. He sticks to the rule book.
These are definitely the best episodes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the man. And he's doing all the Ahsoka series. But he's basically sat at the tree with George. He's the guy who literally would write episode after episode and pick George Lucas's brain about everything that happened in the Clone Wars. So Disney has him. Why do they want to just mess around and not use that? Because go back to the toxic fans that messed up Jake Lloyd's head and made Ahmed Best want to consider taking his life. Somehow Disney happened to read the internet that day, and all of a sudden they're like, maybe we should steer away from this stuff. But then the next generation came up and like, what are you doing? That's my holy trilogy. I'm not an OT holy trilogy. I'm a PT holy trilogy. So this is really important for them to not F this up.
Yeah, and when it's coming to streaming too, it's like there's no box office to look at.
No.
It's just like whether the internet hates it, loves it, doesn't
Don't
matter.
know.
They're talking about it, and they're signing up for our service just to watch it and bitch about it on the internet.
Yeah.
Good deal.
And people and they're a very forgiving fan base. I mean, it's very similar to WWE, where it's a very forgiving fan base that you keep going back to it. You're Lucy. That bitch is going to pull the football away. That bitch is going to pull the football away. But you want to kick it one more time because that one time you do cook the football, it just feels so sweet.
But still, somebody's got to be a heel. And if you're like watching, you're watching the show, you hate it, you jump on the internet and bitch about how much you hate it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's all right. At least you're talking about it.
Yeah, you're talking about it.
And you watched it.
Yeah. Mike said money means more than mythology to them. That's all. Wrong KPI for long-term retention. And yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, it was $4 billion to get Lucasfilms. They need to make that money back. They are still a board that's doing it. And look, it is possible to make money and have good storytelling at the same time. But for some reason, Hollywood, where the lands of make-believe and dreams come true, like half the population of that place gets the wrong people in charge. How does that happen? It's just like because the creative people, they don't really want to be in charge. They just want to tell their stories. And why can't you find that one person that'd be, and it happens sometimes, right? Spielberg, you get that godfather or godmother, like, yeah, I'm going to just empower you to tell your story. But that doesn't always happen because they're like, no, well, we have our agenda. We want to slip into toys and stuff. And a lot of filmmakers can navigate that. And I think Dave Filoni, with that product, he can navigate that. So if George Lucas isn't on this, or Filoni has to be, I don't even think Jon Favreau, because the Book of Boba Fett's, Jon Favreau wrote all those episodes. He wrote all of those. So
I think they use wrote loosely, I bet.
You think?
I think so. I mean, they seem really thrown together. So I bet there was maybe. Well, I don't know, but I'm sure somebody typed out a screenplay. But I bet there was like an outline. John Favreau yelled an outline to his assistant while he was in the shower.
Shout out to Josh at the Den of Nerds because he's like, "What did you mean that George Lucas is involved? Did he come by and fart on the script and leave?" I mean, it is very possible. I mean, just by getting that endorsement, and at the same time, they could be using it as. Can we get a shot of the close up so you can see Gato shaking her tail feather? Star Wars gets everybody all fired up around here, and look at her. She's shaking that tail. She knows. She knows what we're talking about. She's trying to calm me down. She's got the chewy purr, trying to calm things down. But I just getting all fired up, man.
I like that folks can also see you've got 3 computers stacked on each other. That's how high tech our show is.
Well, because we're high tech. You see that we
that's
play
just,
we play with words.
Your angle.
Low tech means I would just bring it down 1 stack. That's just how we roll it. But yeah, I'm still excited. The trailer got me all fired up. I almost fell down the stairs. Left my other job because we got 3 jobs running. I left my other job, almost ran down the stairs to go watch it because I wanted to turn on the Bose surround sound. I wanted to feel it, and I felt it, and I was psyched for Duel of the Fates. I was super psyched. And here's a good question. Let's talk about this. Mike brought it up. Is Star Wars the heel franchise to Marvel's babyface?
Yeah, I mean, oh shit, wrong shot. Hey, danger. I think that they're definitely going to be competitive to be. They're in the same house, but they're going to be competitive to be the top franchise.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and Kevin Feige, what's been their I mean, he does have a Star Wars trilogy that they pulled aside just for him. And that's going to be really interesting. Or you think you think they watched our video and they're going to give you a white Darth Vader?
The white Darth Vader.
You think so?
Got to use that,
right? Because we had the Star Wars crossover with Marvel that we made. Maybe they're like, shit, that's actually a really good idea. Get Feige on it. Can you? Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll give you a trilogy. I'll give you 3 of them.
Darth Vader, but all white.
I'd love to see it. But yeah, I don't know. Marvel has been a babyface. What has been their misstep so far? Ralph Boner? I think other than Boner?
I think part of their misstep right now is they're just making too many fucking movies at once. It's too much going on at once. Slow it down. I mean, and I think they've I don't know. I feel like their movies are becoming less and less events. You know?
Yeah.
And now it's just like this month's Marvel movie. You know, let's go see it. But I mean, they're still making a shit ton of money. So what the hell do I know?
Quarterly movies and then quarterly TV shows, like eight total. Like
I don't think their shows thus far have boosted their movies at all.
No. Well, I think Loki's going to be Doctor Strange is going to establish that with Loki. But either way, they are the golden child of the Disney toy chest right now to Star Wars, right? I wonder if you stack the money like I stack laptops, who has the higher stack of money? Is it Marvel or is it Star Wars?
I think it's definitely
Marvel, right? Just because they have just more, they also have more of it. Even though, like you said, Force Awakens is the #1 film of all time.
There's like
domestically,
30 Marvel movies and there's like 9 Star Wars movies.
And Disney doesn't care because guess what? They're laughing. The #1 domestic film of all time, Star Wars Force Awakens, they own it. The #1 international worldwide box office is always toggling between Avatar and Avengers Endgame of whoever had the re-release to just kind of nudge it. She's just chilling.
This is good for like YouTube searches.
Yeah,
people like cats, so might as well just use it. With.
Yeah,
continue on about Star Wars though.
But so they just toggle between Avatar and Avengers Endgame as the #1. But Disney doesn't care because they own all those too. Like, subscribe, share to the cat. But yeah, sorry. I don't know. So I think Star Wars has potential to be a heel just because I don't think they found their voice yet. Well, I think they found it, but they don't recognize that they found it because they found their voice when they basically said The Mandalorian saved Star Wars. Right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
After the sequel trilogy. And this was, if you guys, we're big fans of Star Wars theory on here. I'm a big fan of Den of Nerds. They do nerd theory. on Tuesday nights, and they got into it yesterday. Like they were like it was awkward. They were about to start a fight.
They're fighting about Star Wars?
They were fighting about Star Wars, and it came back that Star Wars Theory was saying that he's tired of Disney focusing on nothing but the sequel trilogy. And Josh, he's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like, what sequel trilogy content has there been? And the only thing that he basically said was the hotel. I guess it's the theme park. But he's like, well, but what about series? Like, they ain't doing shit. Like, we just got Mandalorian, we got Boba Fett, we're getting Obi Wan. They're not doing anything that's technically sequel trilogy related. And dude, it was like awkward. I was like, oh shit, is he just gonna end the stream? And then afterwards, he's like, I went and worked out. I thought about it, but I think Disney's kind of cutting bait a little bit on the sequel trilogy, a little bit. Like, or they're trying to pivot. And once they had the Mandalorian, they kind of went with it, but then they kind of fumbled with the Book of Boba Fett. So they're still trying to find themselves. They're like that awkward teenager, just like realizing, like, wow, I got big pecs. My legs are my feet are long. I don't know what to do with them, and they're just kind of stumbling all over themselves.
Yes. Also, I was going to add something. Oh, my sister's on. Look, say hi to Michelle.
Oh, yes. What's up, Michelle?
I forgot what I was going to say. Keep going.
This is a good segue into my release the cat butthole cut of the movie Cats. Yes. I haven't seen the original one, but if I was to watch, I watched Cats on Broadway, but I have not watched the film, but I do want to see the butthole cut because there is a butthole cut, but we can talk about that. That's a whole nother show. But, talking about butts. Internet loves butts. But we were talking about Obi Wan Kenobi. Sorry, the cat hole kind of threw off my train of thought. So.
All right, cut back to the cat then.
Oh. No, I thought you were going to say something and I cut you off to talk about butts. No? Oh, okay. So I was just saying Disney kind of fumbled with Book of Boba Fett, so now they've really drew a line in the sand. Like, shit, we didn't fully deliver on Boba Fett, and now they're taking probably the most important character in the Star Wars saga that's not named Skywalker, and we're going to do a whole series about him for 6 episodes.
They've been working on it for a while, though. I bet they planned that one out. Boba Fett felt like it was just thrown together last minute, like I said. I think they booked that one with Robert Rodriguez in mind just because he could do it in a hurry and fill the gap in between shows.
Yeah. The Danger gets the shot, right? Just like, hey, let's just us talk, but then just have Danger on the shot. Yeah, there we go. So she's just relaxing as we're ranting about Star Wars. Like, why is not Dave Filoni in charge? Why would you not? You have the Padawan learner of George Lucas. Somebody needs to be like, guys, people change, times change. It maybe play Rocky. If I can change, you can change. Anybody can change. The internet has changed, and now they like the prequel trilogy. And Dave Filoni is all about, the learning tree and the prequel trilogy of George Lucas. So go back, give him the whole thing. Favreau knows that. Notice when anytime they bring up Jon Favreau, he's with Dave Filoni. He's not all of a sudden be like, oh, I came up with this. He knows where to hang his hat on the Star Wars deal. And he just cut he's getting financial. He is being creative and getting paid to be creative.
I remembered what I was going to say earlier, which was you were telling me about Den of Nerds and Star Wars Theory getting into a fight about what the content.
Oh, sorry. No, don't leave. Sorry. Here, have some Oomph Cola.
Anyway, my point was, I still don't get what they were fighting about exactly. One said that they had made sequel content, and one said the other hadn't.
Yeah, no, they were disagreeing that Disney was focusing only on the sequel trilogy. And Josh was saying, no, that's not true. They're not focusing on the sequel trilogy at all. And Theory was saying, yes, that's all they focus on. So what do you think? What says you?
Well, I think they're trying. Initially, they were probably focusing on one thing at a time, but they're just getting into the point now where they can start focusing on like multiple things.
Yeah.
There's still only been one Star Wars property at a time at this point.
Yeah. No, they've never had.
But they're trying to ramp it up where there's going to be multiple things going on. Hopefully, it'll lead to a movie. I feel they're going to hold off on a movie for a while.
I think they're tiptoeing back into the movie waters. Because the only thing that I've heard sequel trilogy there, I saw what Josh was saying, and I agree. I don't think that they're doing anything other than the theme parks and the rides. But I also see what Theory's saying, because Mandalorian seems to be building a history that's going to lead up to somehow the Palpatine has returned, and it's going to be they were cloning and getting Grogu's blood to bring it back to Exegol, and that's how. So so in a way they're that's the connective tissue. So in a way they're both right, Josh and Theory. I think they were both right, because there's no specific sequel trilogy product that they're working on right now, series or films that we know of that's in the public eye. But I think what Theory was saying is that's all they focused on for the past 7 years with the sequel trilogy. And it can be argued that The Mandalorian is leading up to connecting to the sequel trilogy. So that is sequel trilogy material, because that is stuff that happened after Star Wars. But the only thing that had Boba Fett, which connects the original trilogy as well, when Boba's connected to Jango, so it is tying it all together. So they are trying to make it as cohesive as possible. They literally just need to get the, the It's Always Sunny meme and just have somebody in there in the back with the threads, basically trying to connect this tissue. Because in the end, when people used to tell me before the sequel trilogy, what's your favorite Star Wars movie, I would say, they're all my favorite movie because it's one long story. I don't look at them as separate. So
the sequel trilogy also connects to all the other ones too, right? So they're all one long story.
But now it's a little tougher to say that, because it's like there's a lot of flaws. But then back then there was a lot of flaws. There was a lot of flaws too that you were just able to overlook, because somehow, you kept the essence of George in there, where there was no essence of George there with the sequel trilogy at all, because they released his treatment. And why wouldn't you use his treatment? You trusted him enough to buy $4 billion worth of his assets. Take the freaking 30 pages and use that as the outline. Why wouldn't you just use that? You got it.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you handed some dude sitting in an exec chair at studio, what studio is it? 20th Century Fox?
Yeah.
At the time? Or it was Disney at the time. And it's just, here's an original script by George Lucas. And it's just I got a better idea. Why don't we just make the first one again?
Well, I see where you're saying. Yeah, you could go that route, right?
It's just, they loved the first one. Why would we do it different?
Well, it's argued that Force Awakens is that, right?
It's exactly that. That's what I'm saying. They should have just stuck with their plan of remaking the films exactly like the original trilogy.
So, would you watch? So, the only rumor that there was a Rey. There was talks of a Rey series where Rey was going to teach a new generation of Jedi about the Jedi. Would you watch that? Is Rey? What's her last name again?
Skywalker.
Oh man, would you watch that, or does she have enough heat? Would people be like, oh no, screw that? Or if she showed up on screen, would she get a pop?
If she showed up in a cameo, yeah. I don't think a Rey series would do well at all.
And they were talking about training a new generation of Jedi. Can you go to the close-up again? Or can we we might have the butthole cut, finally. There you go, Renato. Don't say we never gave you anything. You never got Cats the butthole cut, but you got Dos Incredibles Live, the butthole cut. Subscribe, and share to that. I'm not going to move, but she's totally flat on her back. And she's just relaxing. There it is, man. That's all we got. That's internet gold here. They told us if we go on the internet, we should show butts. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
there we go.
That's what the internet was invented for initially.
Yeah, it's just hey, I only go to YouTube to watch some tail. Well, did you see Dos Incredibles Live last night? All they did was have tail. Look at that. I don't know. Are we killing this topic? Do we want to?
What's your final thoughts on the Obi Wan Kenobi trailer?
Did you give me The Office? Squeeze my arm and tell me to go home, and that's it. Final thoughts. Let's go home. Obi Wan trailer. A thumbs up. I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna watch it probably at 3:00 in the morning for the first one.
When does it come out?
May 25th. We're 2.5 months away.
Sure, I'll watch it. It's on Disney Plus. I'll watch it. It's cool. I mean, like I said, it looked more like the movies than any of the shows have looked. So I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
cool.
This is, and and JJ said it, there's so much Star Wars lore and they're stuck on the Skywalkers. The Skywalker, 3, 6, the Skywalker saga had the 9. This is technically going to be like a 9A or 10 because this is going to be just as important as any of the other Skywalker stuff there. But he's right. I think after this, no matter what, they just need to, that's probably got to be it. And you need to leave the Skywalker stuff in the past and really focus on the future of Star Wars, which is basically we know is going to be The Mandalorian. And is The Mandalorian Din Djarin or Grogu? Stop. You're both right. It's going to be both. Hot take right here. 1, 2, 3.